Right, here we are. So last time I had started playing around with this uh, Ruby gem called Graffiti. It's not, oh, okay, hello. It's not just a Rails gem. You could use it in pure Ruby. You could use it in Sinatra, whatever else that's out there. I had gone through a bunch of these up to here. Phil has one, step 5. I didn't get into some of the more complicated relationships because um, I'm getting enough of a sense of the framework to move on and try other things. And then when I do have some difficulty, I can refer to these tutorials, or of course just go through the entire guide, which I have not done yet, but I'm just jumping in, kind of stumbling my way through. So now I want to create a new Vue application and start here with step 0. These here, instead of being particular step-by-step guide per se, is just these are just diffs. So what I want to do is to create a Vue application as I would, but not with Vue CLI, but with Vite, probably using my own dgit setup. But one of the things I'm concerned about mildly is how I get my Vite application up and running within the context of um, Rails, and whether I have one server, multiple servers, is it one repo or not, and what have you. So maybe I can start looking a bit into the Vite Rails gem, and this will get me set up for any potential things I need to do looking down the road. So let me get started with that and start to take a look here. So there's some setup here. Okay, Rails, Hanami. Bundles your code with tree shaking, okay. And integrate with assets precompile, all right. Zero config deployments, that's what I'm looking for, and more. What more? Place my code under entry points, and the entry points will be configured automatically. I don't know what that means, unfortunately, because I haven't much looked at Rails things, so I'm not too aware of what I would need to do. So hopefully this will auto-generate something for me that I can just put code into and then not have to worry about. Okay, let's see. Getting started. We add this gem. So let's go back here and let's see. I might not get anywhere, but let's see. So presumably, and it doesn't tell me. It says add this line to your application's gem file. It doesn't tell me whether I need to place it in some sort of a group, or if I can just put it anywhere. So let me put it down here for now, and then we'll see how that goes. And let's bundle. Okay. And run bundle exec. Wonder if I have BE. Yeah. Bundle exec vite install. So it seems to be creating configuration files and doing a bunch of work here, and we could take a look. All right, it's I probably didn't commit this stuff the last time, and so I have a bunch of mods here, unfortunately, and I really should have committed. That is unfortunate. However, these seem to be the added files, which are all new files. I have a vite config a package.json right in my root directory, config vite.json, a vite binary or bin, not binary, but like a vite executable added here, and some stuff in app.frontend. Let's take a look at app.frontend. So there's an entry point, and I'm not sure what this does yet. So I'm hoping if I follow through here, I'll have some idea. Injects tag helpers in application.html.erb. We don't have an application.html.erb. So this will be somewhat of a problem because we added this with the API. We initialized Rails with the API flag. So add HTML page to Rails API setup. I don't know if that will. I just want my old school. Should I have created a full Rails app? And now I'm paying the price for not doing so? Perhaps. Perhaps. Yeah, this search is not going to really yield anything. I was hoping that maybe I get lucky. But no cigar. Okay, that's fine. Let's just take a look here to see what we have. Oh, a proc file. Look at this. Like, this is nice. I really, really want this to work. So let me just see what happens when I run the server. Bin vite dev. Like, what does it do? Can I say vite dev? And I can. It's running a dev server on 3036. So I might get lucky here. Maybe. Let's see. If, for example, vite runs a server and serves something, and I don't have to worry about how it gets into Rails via compilation or what have you. So unfortunately, this does not seem to be working, which means no cigar. Refreshing this multiple times will not change anything, and that doesn't change anything. So let me take a look at a few things here. There's a vite config. Okay, yeah, you know what? Like, we haven't really done anything yet. We haven't added a view application, or we haven't done anything particular. Right, so I mean, we would have to add the view plugin and so forth, so on, and have an app somewhere. Ho hum. It seems like I'd have to learn about entry points and all that, and I don't know if that's a good use of my focus at this stage. So what I'll do is I'll take a look at I want to take a look at I don't want to take a look at this entry point business in too much detail, unless I can kind of glimpse something and figure it out. The other thing I want to try and do is if I go into config application, it does import Rails all, right? So it seems like the Dash API flag is mostly an indication for what gems to include off the bat. And then for, right, so here's what happens. Only load smaller set of middleware suitable for API-only apps. Middleware like session, flash, cookies can be added back manually. Really, we don't need any of those. Skip views, helpers, and assets when generating a new resource. But doesn't really indicate here whether that would happen if I was to have a not new resource, for example. So what if, so I don't have an application.html and so forth, but what if I was to add one? So what I'll do is here in a new directory, I'll create a Rails new test app. That's weird. What? RVM list. Well, this is not turning out well, is it? Like this seems to be like I'm all over the place. And here I'm trying to like figure stuff out, and this didn't run on the first run. What a mess. What a mess. Is there a test app? It's like, hey, run bundle install. But I don't like right now. I don't trust this. Like, I don't know if Rails would have done other things post bundle install, and I wonder why it didn't run on the first try. So let's give this one more shot. So now there's some new things happening here, but there's still this like uninitialized constant gem source. And I'm getting all, I'm getting turbo and stimulus and all these things. An import map, which I don't know what that is. Apps, JavaScript application. Yeah, you know what? This is gonna be a drag. So I will simply just have a separate application that hits my API. And we're gonna figure out Ruby some other time. Yeah, no, we can't do that. It's way too much work and effort. What I can probably do is, let me see if I still have a dgit command. Yeah. What I could probably do is just in the root directory of my project, create a front end application. And let me see, like, I don't want this anymore. Curious about this, but I do not want it. No. And then I can't just delete. Oh, front end. I do want front end. And these are some unstaged changes from before. It's saying, hey, don't do public v, don't do load modules. This can probably stay. The only change here is v rails, so get rid of that. What do I have here? Dry CLI, v rails, Ruby, get rid of that. And some changes here, which I want to keep. I won't look at these, I'll just keep them. Adding as one, which is what we did last time, and I'll just delete the app front end. And now I have my front-end app. And here I'll jump in here and yarn. And then yarn dev. And this by default runs on 3000. We cannot have this. So maybe I can do 50/50. Localhost 50/50. And we have something here. Some version of my my template. And then here we have, you know what? I'll just use this window as my server runner. So now I have a Rails application and this. And Vite, we're gonna Rails, we're gonna figure out later. That's my ideal scenario where everything just works and I can deploy it using kind of normal Railsy methods, or build or what have you using that. But let's see. Okay, so having done this, it wants us to add Bootstrap, add some classes, delete Hello World, delete some, you know, things here and there. Okay, great. So that's just adding Bootstrap, which I'm not going to use. And then it wants us to define models by adding spray paint. So okay, so we have a front-end app here, and we want to add yarn add spray paint. I wonder if the version of spray paint is still 0.0.1, and it is not. It is 0.10.24. So there might be some differences and odd things we run into. Spray paint npms. And I just noticed a spray paint view thing there. Let me see if they have any particular instructions on the page here. Not really. It just seems to be default stuff, documentation page for full usage, and this is spray paint guide here. Okay, no problem. Let's go back here. No, this is not the one. I don't know how I got there. And I think I'll, there you go. No, also no. What am I doing? This is it. Okay, let's see. All right, so we're defining some kind of a model. I'll probably copy paste most of this so we get a sense of it. And it seems like the queries that we build will be okay, so all this is really doing is just adding spray paint and defining the models in one models.ts file. That's not a problem. I can do that. Okay, so in fact, let's get in here and right beside main.ts, let's add a models.ts. And I guess I will just copy this as is. I should be able to do this. And let's see what kind of errors we're getting. Okay, so that's fine. I need to set experimental decorators option in my TS config. Not a problem. And in fact, if we look here, decorators, there's just two properties that they do change in the TS config that we can we can take. So I'll just add it down here maybe. And restart my server for good measure. And now I believe if I go back into my models.ts file, give it a second for it to, yeah, okay, it seems happy now. And here, spray paints, definitions, and everything. All right, so let's just quickly take a look here. Similar to how we have an application record on the Rails side, there's an application. So here's the Rails application record, for example. Well, it's just a base class. We've defined a base class here that all our models will extend. So any functionality that we want shared across models is available. We have an employees record or model, which defines has one and many, as we have on the Rails side, a position and department. Great. Like I think this is as far as I got anyway. So I'm happy they're starting off with just the limited aspect. Okay, let's see what this data grid is. And here I'm not sure if I should just copy paste broadly. And I probably should not, because this is using like extend and it's using all these things. So I'm probably just going to want to create my own components. So here we're just adding a query component and throwing it on the page. So let's do that. Let's get, let's just commit where we are. Okay. And I got my query.view. Let's see. And I want to add that. So under components, I'm going to add a query.view. And I'll just copy maybe hello world or something as a starter. And then slowly get, okay, yeah, like I don't really need any ceremonious setups here. So I could actually just get rid of most of this and really just, it's a script and a template tag. I know they're using some card stuff. So what I'll probably do is nothing maybe. I'll just ignore any styling to begin. Whoops. And then we'll take it from there. And here we're importing the employee model. What happens if I say employee? Will it give me import options from local things, knowing that my models exports employee? No, they will not. Probably, I wonder if this is related to like Volar or Vector or one of these Vue plugins. No worries, that's fine. I will just have to indicate where this is. So I will have to say, go down and go down one level. And then give me models. Models. I think I should be able to do that straight up. And it doesn't like how it's never used. So we have an employee array as our ref. So I might be able to be like, hey, employees, and just continue to use this ref as is. And let's just take a look at this ref definition. And it seems to be indeed an array of employees. I wonder why it breaks down the object and doesn't just say employee array. No problem. And then there is so on create, run search. And then search is an async function which sets employees. Yeah, so we can do that here. Function search. I'll make this async in a sec. And here I'm just saying employees.value equals await employee.all data. That doesn't work either. Add async modifier will not do it. So something for me to fix. And then I should just be able to do this. Created is, almost the same. And then, and if there's any issues, we'll just have to figure it out. And then here in our app, we're just calling it straight up. Okay. I will get rid of what we have here. Just straight up call this. And let's see. Okay, so we are getting some kind of a table here. This is our title. This is our table. I can probably just add some padding all around just to space things out. And I won't worry too much about this table for now. So here we have our query component. I want to see if it is making a, well, obviously I don't see any data. So let's see if it's making a call. Let's see if that call is being answered. It is making a call, and the URL is the same server that it's running on, which would have worked if we had deployed this together. But that's not going to work. So let's see if we can go under models and tell it, hey, the base URL is an entire URL, for example. And here I'll do 3000, and I might have to modify some core settings down. So now it is following this, and I need to, disable cores, I guess. Rails, disable cores. It's got to be a simpler. Yeah. And then add a config initialization. So let's do that. So adding rack cores jump. Let's see if Rails already adds it. Okay, so here's a suggestion here to add it. So just remove it from here, keep their suggestion and bundle. And then in config initialization cores, exists already. I'm not going to comment this out. I'll just copy paste this straight up. And maybe that's good enough. And then we'll take it from here. Yeah, because right now it says allow star star, so we'll just allow everything, presumably. No, I'm still getting errors. I will probably need to restart my Ruby server because I added a config initializer and I added a new gem. Okay, and here's the information. You'll have to see it. So now it's real. Now this is real. I'm not going to spend any active time styling this right now because I just want to make progress on the app itself. So let's see what we've done here. We've added a query component. Yes. We've added cores. Yes, yes, yes. Our components, our new query component that's acting up here. Modified app and added a models or modified models. Adding a query component. All right, that's good enough for me. And let's see where we net out next. So we did data grid, and now it wants us to expand our table. And now we're going to make out we're going to make calls out to the position, the current position specifically in the department. And here it wants us to use a computed scope in order to make our call. And I don't see anything active here. Like I don't see an active computed thing. So there are no reactive objects here. So this scope is just going to stay as it is. It's not going to change. No worries. And then here, so what I'll do is I'll just make it a regular function perhaps. We can just deal with it. And then we're going to call this to scope.all. Okay, so let's do that first. And then we can verify that if this works or not too. So I will add a function scope. And I'm just going to copy this. And will it know what the result of this function is? It says employee. But we want to retype this as scope employee. Type of employee. And let's add scope from spray paint straight up. Okay, a lot of problems are being had here. Type of employee does not satisfy the constraint. Spray paint base is missing the following properties and 51 more. What am I doing? What am I doing something wrong? Scope type of this. Have I upset you? Scope employee is not assignable to type scope type of employee. So I wonder if I just get rid of type of, if it's a bit happy. And that seems to be the case. So this does return scope employee. So then why did this say employee? Oh. What? Maybe I probably missaw. So we don't have to do anything here. We have a scope employee. No worries. No harm, no foul. And then over here, this will become scope dot all. And let's see if that still works. Seems like it. And then let's see that in our network call that we make, we have side loaded data, and we do. A lesson hard learned before. Let's visualize it by adding a position and a department. Sorry, I recently upgraded my Vim plugins, which probably I should not have done. And there seems to be some issues. And then I want to add employee and title. So let's just copy these. And so what's nice about this is we're getting all this functionality. For example, current position is defined on employee because in our models, we defined a current position, has one current position, right? And so now when I refresh this, or when I just go back to this page because of hot module reload, we see that information. Wow. See, ain't that like really cool? Just the speed at which you can get something up like this. By having standards and defining them and so on. I mean, sure, you do have to repeat yourself. So, you got to define these adders here and there and everything. But a few things that are probably happening here. So you can see that we've defined first name in JavaScript style. In camel case, let's see if the response we get back is camel case or not. It isn't. And that means that the app here is doing the work for us. Or the space parent library is doing the work for us to convert things to a more JavaScript-y way. I find that a bit confusing sometimes, but, not a big deal. Okay. Relationships. There we go. Let's add some filtering. All right, so here it seems like we're adding a form, we're adding some controls using ViewModel. So what will be cool here is, at least for now, I'm going to start off this way. But then later on, I'm going to try and integrate the form library that I was working on before and kind of marry the two here. And that will be cool. All right. Interesting. As a where clause. And we're going to pass this where clause. Okay, this is why it was scoped or computed. Because we have this, which is a reactive object. And as and when it changes, they want us to do this. I probably can get away with this because I don't think I need to. So they do search here on submit, which means there's no reason for it to be reactive because we can make the call at the time of search call, right? This will get called, and this will use whatever, dot value for the query. So let's do that. Let's add a query, and the query can be an object here. Oops, what am I doing? Could be an object here with first underscore name intro. See, this is why I think it gets confusing sometimes. Last underscore name, a thorough shame, I say. All right, so that's interesting that it's an object and not just a value. And I guess we'll learn from looking at the thing up there deeper. And let's grab the where clause from here because this really wants this to be a as where clause. And no qualms here about this, although that's interesting. This appears as any because where clause is just any. What a sham. Sorry. Fascinating. And then here in our scope, like right before includes, we can just say dot where and then pass it our query. In our case, it'll be query.value. All right, so that bit is done. And I can just copy paste this here, and let's just see query dot first. Okay. So the reason is we're adding like dot prefix to. We're adding prefixes, which is why it needs to be this format. So actually, let me just grab all of this, and this appears before my table, it seems. And none of this will be styled, but hopefully it will be functional. So prefix is kind of, yeah, it's a search. So I could type in, for example, MOL, enter. There we go. Gay, enter. Cool. Last name, Ali, Al. Oh, well, search button's here, which is odd. But that's just because I have no. I wouldn't expect it to be the same level as this, but I was just gonna say I'm not gonna worry about it, but let me just, for clarity purposes, put this in a div. No cigar. It just wants to overlap. No problem. No worries. But the idea being that, we have it working. Cool. And again, all it's doing is okay. You know what? We've done this, like, I think these things. So there's probably a clear fix happening somewhere. And I wonder if Tailwind kind of just says, hey, I'm going to give you, yeah, I think Tailwind has a float right. So that makes sense. And now the search button is here where it belongs. Okay, that's it. That's it. We've modeled a form. We're getting that information back and pumping it into the query. Folks, this is in, 2018. Just this level of just speed of development, once you have your actual components out there. That's amazing. So we're here, we're at filtering. Let's see if we can't, get the pagination today. In maybe, let's see, half an hour or so. Let's sort. Let's, let's not mess around here. So here, we're going to make this into links. I'm just going to use, maybe, I just want to use buttons instead. We're going to use a called do sort. And then we'll have sort scope here, which will define. Okay, and this seems parameters that we pass in, and we do order. This is quite good. And then here, we start with created at, descending. And then here it's adding attribute value. So if that attribute exists and the attribute is decreasing, flip it. If it doesn't exist, it's descending by default, and then run search. Yeah, it looks good to me. Sorry, it's just again my Vim acting up. Do sort. We're going to take an attribute string. And then, yeah, I'm happy to copy paste. And now instead of this search, we're just going to do this, and we will need a and the sort object is in our data string, although technically there's no real reason why it should be computed ref. So I feel like I could just make this, like this should be good enough, right? Modify the value. So I could just say sort here, sort here. And now I just need to include sort scope. And now we'll add that here into our query. And this will just be sort. Yeah, this should be fine. Like this doesn't have to be a computed or a reactive value. Because all of these are being triggered on some action, right? Like a click is triggering this. And then we're running .search anyway. So it's not like there's some computed values out here. And then let's add sorting here. We'll just start off with this. Add a button, and we're gonna say on click, do sort for last name. Okay, so name is now clickable and sortable. Cool. Let's do age. I don't think we need to do all of these. So neato. Will you look at that? And now, yeah, I mean, now we could make sort reactive. And then based on that, maybe have an icon here that flips and lets you know which way sorting is occurring on these values. I'm happy with this. I'm not going to go ahead and do the other two unless later on there's some, pressing need to do so. Okay, what's next? We might get to pagination just yet. And then there's some complicated or more complex things here, which we might not get to today, but I probably do want to play around with later. Okay, near our below our search button, we're going to add a total count. Right. Okay, well, of course, my search button's here, and right below, adding, and going to get rid of that value. So I should just see total. And then let's add a ref for that. Total count. And this, I believe, is just going to be null to begin and as number or null. And again, it's gonna come check this here. It's ref number. And so we're going to request stats. At some point, this should begin to, what am I doing wrong? Ah. Yeah. And then, right, so from the response now, instead of pumping data into employees, we will extract data and assign it accordingly. So here, this will become employees value. This will become total count dot value. And this will just become scope. And this will now ensure that the meta value is being passed in. And that's it. A total count of 100. Cool. I'm not gonna commit this just yet. I think, you know, we could just get on to pagination unless this is super complex. Nope, doesn't seem like it. So it doesn't seem like they've added any, apart from like page and per, they haven't really added anything. Paginate, if has a previous page. And how did it determine? Ah, okay, so we're using just total count. And we figure this out on our end here. So we don't really need like any other details coming back. I wish it did send you back what page you requested and the per, like these values, but okay, no worries. So this will become current page dot value, since I believe this is a reactive value. So it is. And per page is fixed. Cool. And this is just going to be 1. And so this knows that it's a number. Fantastic. So we've added current page. Let's have these functions that will allow us to know what to do. Okay, and this will be dot value, as will this. And this. Cool. Okay, we need a paginate function, which helps us go either back or forward. And this will be back. It's false. And we'll just do this. And this just modifies the current value. It doesn't like. Did I do this? Oh yeah, I copy pasted. Okay. All right, you know, it seems like we have something here where we know if there's a next page or not based on the current page that we're on and the per page value. Yeah, let me just make this, you know, per page, and then that as well, and just define per page here. And I won't make it a ref. I'll just, you know, it's just a variable. All right. And now let's hook it up here. And all this is really is, you know, a previous and next links in the meta area here. I'm just going to put it down here because I'm not going to float it anywhere. And now on click, we're calling paginate either true or false based on which way we want to go. And it is working. What I don't like is do I need an href here in order for this to behave more linky? Yeah. Except now it doesn't. Really, this should be a button as well because we're not, like, the link is not changing. And of course, I think in future sessions, when maybe I try and abstract some of this, what I will want to do is have some kind of a pagination component built out with this functionality of like has previous, has next, this idea of like, this could just be a component of some sort. And instead of it just acting on click, it'll actually be a link to something like, per page equals whatever, and, page equals whatever. And that way it's nice and web-like. So you can just, go to this page, copy this link, send it to someone, and they're on that page. Ideally. So, why does this not work now? I mean, that at click still has to be true. No? There seems to be some popping up and down. So let me just quickly see if there aren't any errors or some such. Okay, so what's happening is it is trying to visit the link again. So I think I can make it not really refresh by pretending that there's some anchor somewhere on the page that this should go to. I think I should also be able to do click.prevent. Very similar to what we did in the form. And now if I just have this, that also works fine. So if I can get rid of this, refresh, and this works great. Okay, cool. Like, look how easy it is to get pagination working. Look how absolutely remarkable this is. Where I spent maybe, if I didn't mess around too much on the other session, it was just about, an hour or so, just setting up models and doing that. And then here, if I didn't mess about maybe the first 20 minutes, trying to get like Vite Rails plugin and just like messing about. Yeah, it's been an hour, but in about a couple hours of focus time, you will get this kind of an outlook. Absolutely magnificent. This probably shouldn't go next. Okay. Absolutely magnificent. I'm just remarkable. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with this. Let's see what the next level would have been. Basic form setup. It seems like we're creating a new employee. And I wonder, it's not clear to me here where those values are. So we're creating a new employee record, which is in data. But it's not clear to me where we're using employee. Really just employee.positions. Curious. Indeed. Maybe in the next one. Okay, we're going through departments. We're getting the departments as the page loads so that it could be as part of a select option. Okay, I think it's just building this out in bits. Nested form submission. Here we go. So now it's using the employee here. I wonder if this will work with the form library that we were setting up with the vValidate. Should I be able to pass an initial value as employee? But employee is a specific object. It's not just a hash. So, super curious if that would work. And I really hope it does work, because if it does work, oh, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Because vValidate specifically wants to manage its own, like, object. But it might work. I'm super curious. I hope it's just plug and play. And if that's the case, that would be amazing. Validation errors. You know, I actually haven't seen any kind of submit yet. Oh, here it is. So, okay, well, I'm not too concerned about this anymore now. So really all this is saying, hey, I have a this.employee object that I initialize when the component loads. I put it in this form, so the vModel value is mapped to the fields I care about. And then I just say, hey, save it with these positions. So for me, maybe next time I'll start off with just a simple form submission, adding an employee, maybe without even any of this stuff. Or I might just create, like something super simple, like add a department, remove a department. So add, delete, and some of these operations. And maybe we could use the department as a guide on how we want to create some of our components. And maybe I can use this kind of a thing. So like, ultimately add a pagination component to our component library. Use the form that we built in our component library in this. I hope it works. I have a suspicion that it won't work. And if that's the case, then like we're off to the races with forms and things. That would be amazing and very exciting. So here you could select a department, and the value of that department will be whatever the value is here. Which in this case is the full department object. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. Hey, but it might. Okay, all right. I think that's all that I really wanted to do. I'm happy with how far we've come. So essentially we have the basic functionality. We got pagination working. We got sorting working. And you notice here when I sorted, I'm on a different page here. There's no indication of what page we're on, but I'm on a different page here. Maybe I can just output that as well. So, page, I think it's page count. No, it's not page count. Current page. So we're on page 3, right? And I sorted. And in this case, the page 3 remains and the sorting happens. So it's pretty, it's what you'd expect. Sometimes when you're sorting or modifying sort when you're on a different page, you kind of want it to go back to the first page. And here I can say, okay, everyone whose last name starts with R. No, that's not prefix. Ah, because I'm on page 3. See, like I would have perhaps wanted in these situations for the page to reset. Super cool. Look at that. W's only, please. WI's. All right. Super cool. Okay, that's all I got for today. And I'll probably mess about a bit more the next time. And then after that, probably start building out the app I want to build out, or building out one of these projects using some of what we have built. Although, I mean, building chests, that's not a form heavy thing. This is for Management 3.0. There is a great exercise that I kind of want to get online for moving motivators. Doesn't really need a lot of forms either. I'm out here kind of building sort of basic CRUD functionality, but you know, typically when you're building any of these apps, they will come with some kind of CRUD requirement. And having a basis for, you know, CRUD APIs or CRUD forms, views is super helpful. Okay, cool.